Are you looking back on your life with regret? Are you thinking, I didn't live to the fullest? You know, a kind of a case of FOMO, going, maybe I missed out on opportunities. Maybe I missed out on life. But we can't change the past. So if you're feeling that now, it means you're not living a life of fulfillment now. You're not living in alignment with your soul now. So you have to ask yourself, if you've got a case of FOMO, are you just wanting to escape the reality that you've created? Because we can change anything. And looking back on the past is not going to change the present. What we have to do now is create the new reality, the reality that we desire. Because looking back is not going to get you anywhere. It's only in looking forward that you can change things. My name is Angela Cleary. I'm a feminine empowerment coach. I specialise in healing after narcissistic abuse, and I also offer twin flame and spiritual guidance. This is it. I find this with so many people. We get to it, and like this is the midlife crisis thing as well. You know, I've mentioned this before. You know, you do everything a certain way, and you get to a certain stage in your life, and you're like, oh my God, I didn't live to the fullest, or I missed out on this. Maybe I should have done it this way. And you know, there's two sides of the spectrum here, and I'm going to go into like both sides, but there is one side especially that's kind of triggering me at the moment. And that's the side of, you know, I'll give you both. So for example, like, you know, I grew up in a broken home. I grew up, you know, with less opportunities. I grew up taking drugs as a teenager. I grew up with anxiety and depression. I grew up trying to escape the reality that I was in. But I didn't go to college. I didn't do any of that kind of thing. And, you know, I did get to a certain stage in my life where I was like, oh my God, you know, did I miss out? Did I not live the life that I truly wanted? But I don't have regrets now. As I've healed and as I've awakened, I look back and I'm actually, you know, I'm grateful for my experiences, and I'm grateful for the street smarts that I got rather than going to college. So that is one thing. But like, you know, and as well as that now, and it's going to sound really weird when I go to the other side, but the other side is really, it's kind of triggered me. So I was guided to do this video. But like, you know, I got to a certain stage where, yes, I did say I would have liked to have gotten more education, but not that way. You know, I don't believe in that college route at all. I think that where we learn more later in life and through our experiences more than anything. But I was able to get to a stage in my life where I no longer needed to escape my reality. And that's the secret. You know, when we look back with regret, we're looking back because we're afraid that we didn't live our lives fully. And that's the main objective here. It's like we feel like we I don't know, we lacked in certain ways. But in actual fact, we spent our whole lives. But for me personally, I spent my whole life trying to escape the reality that I was in. So I think FOMO is not just a fear of missing out. It's literally, you're not living a life that you're happy with. And you're like looking outside, you're thinking the grass is greener somewhere else. And it's not. You can make the grass greener where you water it. You know what I mean? So I've gotten to a stage now where I don't drink or take any drugs, or I don't even smoke cigarettes anymore. Because I'm not trying to escape the reality that I'm in. That's what I did. That's why, like, you know, oftentimes, you know, people question why a certain person might have taken drugs or drank alcohol. It's because we were depressed, we were unhappy, we had childhood trauma, we had past life trauma, whatever it was, we were trying to escape. And when you get to the whole objective of healing is to get to a stage of your life where you're not trying to escape anymore. You know, and I'll go to the opposite side now. The opposite side is, this one is triggering me because it's come up a little bit lately, is just when a person gets to a stage of their life who has done it the right way, literally, you know, drink till they were 18, went to college, you know, like lived in a home where it looked, I suppose, solid. And, you know, did it, I don't know, the normal way, as we call it. They get to a stage of their lives and they're like, Jesus, my life was boring. Maybe I missed out. And like, then they get curious about drugs. And it's just like, no, don't do that. And I'll give you an example. Like, you know, when I was working a few years ago, I became friends with a girl, and she was in her early 20s, you know, and she obviously lived a very quiet teenage life, the opposite to what an Irish person would do. Right? And you could tell by her, we were out drinking and she'd be mad for a fag, a cigarette like. And he was like, at this stage of your life, what the fuck are you doing smoking? And I got the download that she didn't do these things as a teenager, she didn't rebel. So therefore she was like, FOMO, I want to do these things now. And I was like, oh my God, you know, I can't tell her I smoke weed or and take drugs, which I did at the time, because I was like, if I say these things to her, she'll get curious and she'll want to take them, and I don't want to be an influence. So I kept it a secret for a while, and it turned out then, after I spent a lot of time with her, it turned out her whole group of friends that she'd known for over 10 years were all on drugs, and they didn't say it to her either because she was so innocent. And she ended up taking drugs because of, that FOMO energy, that curiosity. It's like, I didn't live a wild life, so maybe I should live it now. And I see that with people later in life. It's like, what are drugs like? What are drugs like? I'm like, what the fuck do you want to take drugs for now? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I admire people who have never had to take drink or drugs. I fucking think they're legends, because at the end of the fucking day, if you didn't have to escape your reality, that's the whole point of not living in regret. And we get to, like, we have to see this, right? Everything we've done, say that another person hasn't done. What that other person did was an escape mentality, and that's what FOMO is. So if you're looking at another person's life and going, maybe I didn't live my life this way, and maybe I did it wrong, or maybe I should have done it this way, maybe I'll try that now. It's just like, no. Like, my main point on this video is, your whole objective in life, your purpose in life, is to get to a stage where you do not need to escape your reality. That's what it is. The reason I was on drugs, the reason I smoked weed, the reason I even smoked cigarettes was to not be present, not to be there, because my life was something I wanted to escape from. My mind was something I wanted to escape from. So if you find yourself curious in later life about drinking or taking drugs or smoking cigarettes, it means you want to escape. It means you've got inner healing to do. And, I this is another thing, right? We get to a certain age, or, I don't like using the word age. We get to a certain stage in our lives where we don't party like we used to. And we think, because I don't drink anymore, because I don't take drugs anymore, I'm boring and I'm going to get old. That's fucking bullshit. We think that what? Partying makes us youthful. No. The one thing that will keep us young forever is going on adventures and making our life meaningful now. And, alcohol and drugs are going to make you old quicker anyway. So in actual fact, if you continue taking drink and drugs into your later life, you're actually going to deteriorate quicker. So why are we in this mentality of, I need to be a certain way or my youth is gone? The whole of, life is fun without the need for substances. Life is fun without the need for trying to compare ourselves to others. Life is fun without comparing yourself to your youth. Like, you know what I mean? You get to a certain stage in life and you're looking back going, I wish I was out. Do you really wish you were out partying like you used to? Falling around the place, looking like a fucking gobshite, fucking in danger most of the time. Because, I look back now, and I look back at my teenage years and, they were fun, yes, but they were fucking dangerous. And there was regrets there. There was big time regrets, because I was trying to escape. And, when you look back on your past and you think, oh, I have a life unfulfilled or I did it wrong, what is really happening here is you're living right now not happy, unfulfilled. Because when we regret the past, it means we're not happy with the present moment. And all we have is the present moment. And the objective here is not to fucking, oh my God, not to moan about what you did or didn't do. You can change that. You can change your reality in any moment. And, when you're using that escape mentality to escape your reality, to party, do drugs or whatever it is, that's not living in fulfillment. We can live a life of happiness and adventure without any need for substances. And I know I'm concentrating a lot on substances here, but a lot of the time, we're drinking, we're partying, we're taking drugs to escape. And we're doing things to escape because we're not fucking happy. So you have to ask yourself that. Why are you feeling like that feeling of FOMO? Why are you feeling like you're missing out? Because you're not happy right now. And doing the things that you did when you were younger is not going to make you happy now. Or doing the things that somebody else did when they were younger is not going to make you happy now. What's going to make you happy now is finding your own spark. Like, you know, what I love about not drinking or taking drugs anymore is that I get to appreciate life for what it is. I'm not trying to escape anymore because life is fucking beautiful. You know what I mean? Like, and anyone who has been on substances before will know that you go partying and you don't remember anything, you black out and it's like, whatever. If you went to a concert when you were drinking or taking drugs, it was shit. Well, it wasn't shit. You had a great time, but you can't remember any of it. The music, what music? It was like, was there a band? You know what I mean? And going to a concert sober is the best experience of your life. You can actually create the feeling of ecstasy within your body just by living a life of fulfillment and a life that you don't want to escape. And this is the objective I keep going back to. What are you trying to escape from? If you're sitting there regretful in this moment, looking back and pining over your youth or pining over a youth that you didn't have, depending on which side of the spectrum you actually grew up on, there's only one common denominator here. What are you trying to escape from? And in effect, it's escaping from your own mind. And this is it. We get to stages of our lives and we're like, I did it the right way or I did it the wrong way. It's weird. Like, it's just a weird, like these two sides, they keep flipping in my mind. You know what I mean? I didn't have the best of childhoods. You know, my mother left when I was a toddler. I grew up in a toxic masculine household. And I took drinking drugs as a teenager. Yes, that there's regrets there, but my life now is fulfilling because I've healed what I needed to heal in order to not need to escape my reality now. And then you've got the other side of the spectrum where the people did it the right way, which as I said, I admire. I call people who don't, like, you know, I used to go around, it's like, oh, she's posh. You know, not posh as in like drinking your tea with a little baby finger out. I mean posh as in, like, somebody asked me one day, what's your definition of posh? And I was like, somebody who didn't need to take drugs as a teenager. Do you know what I mean? I just think that people like that are, do you know, I admire people like that. If you didn't need to live a life that I lived, that's awesome. So why are you trying to escape your reality now? Like, you don't need that kind of thing to be fulfilled. What you need to do is find your own spark and find your own truth. And that's it. Like, you know, if I can go from completely escaping my reality with substances, living a life of regret, to transforming my life, to gaining more knowledge, to feeling fulfilled, to appreciating the world around me, then why can't you understand that your life is in this moment and not in the past? You know, we're living in regret for a life that we didn't or did live. We're regretting the fact that we mightn't have taken opportunities. We've got FOMO because we think somebody else is living a better life than us. We're comparing our lives to what it could be when the power is in now. The power is right here. Instead of being sad and emotional and you know, depressed over what was or what wasn't, you know, start to concentrate on what is and what you can do to change that. Get to a stage of your life where you're not looking over the fence at somebody else's grass, because that grass isn't greener. It's fake fucking grass. It is fake. You know what I mean? Like, you know, a lot of the times, like, we're worried that, because especially when we're on this awakening journey and we're healing, we can look at other people's lives and think, oh, you know, that looks better than mine. They look nicer than I do. Or, you know, how do they have this kind of this circle, this environment? And in actual fact, I know for, like, you know what, for example, my friend mentioned yesterday, and, you know, she was like, you know, she feels bad that she doesn't have friends from her childhood or from years ago. And, like, you know, I just said, in actual fact, if you still have friends from 20 years ago, there's something fucking wrong, because it means neither of you fucking evolved. And that's a fact. I'm sorry, like, and I'm all for, you know, friendship and long-lasting friendship. No, I'm not really. Because in fairness, like, I was friends with somebody for 22 years, and I look back now and I was like, Jesus, she bullied me in school. The fuck was I doing friends with her in the first place? And, you know, a lot of times, like, if you see a big circle of friends, guaranteed there's a lot of bitching going on there. So do you really want to be in the circle of friends that you've known for 20 years when every single one of them is talking about you behind your back? There's a toxic mentality there. So, you know, ask yourself, if you're still surrounded by the same people you were 20 years ago, That's fucking, ugh. See, that's kind of like you're not living a life in alignment with your soul. You're literally stuck in the Stone Age. You know what I mean? And no one has evolved here, and they're all toxic and talking about each other. That's a fact. You know what I mean? And so, like, why are we thinking that grass is greener when that grass is a fucking persona? That grass is a fake mask that people put on. And we're literally pining for a life that isn't that great anyway. You know, and you're supposed to be feeling fulfilled within your own self. Not trying to go over the fence and sit in their grass. Because the grass, fucking no, like, water your own grass. And this is what we need to do. Instead of sitting there trying to escape your reality or wanting to do things that you didn't do, you know, or, you know, escape into a world that is different to this one. Like, you have to ask yourself, excuse me, you know, what am I trying to escape from? If you're living in regret and in FOMO energy, it means you're not happy in the now. And the only thing you can do is change the now. If you want a better life for yourself, it's about making memories now. It's about going on adventures now. It's about living your life now to the fullest. It's about leaving the fucking village and, you know, seeing the world. If you're sitting there in the same place that you were 20 or 30 years ago, there's a fucking problem. And that's the reason you're curious about the life that you didn't live, is because you're literally stuck in the Stone Age and you're not evolving. You're surrounded by the same people you've known for 20 years who are not evolving. Your life is miserable because you're not evolving. And you're questioning, oh, why can't I do this? Why can't I live like that? Because you're not fucking moving, that's why. You're pining over something that you can't change. But you can change your reality now, and you can change your future now. Stop living in regret. Stop trying to escape with the wrong thing. Stop going to parties and you know, hanging around with people who are no longer in alignment with you, who are keeping you stuck. You're never going to leave the village or evolve if you stay around this kind of toxic behavior. If you're going to the same pub over and over again every weekend, expecting things to change, it's never going to fucking change. You know what I mean? You keep doing the same thing over and over again and miserable with your life and wondering why it's not changing. It's because you're not fucking changing. If you want things to change, fucking change them. And don't sit there going, oh, maybe I'll do this and this will make me happy. No. And I go back to this thing, like, if you're the kind of person, the posh person, who didn't take drugs or didn't need to take drugs and now you want to take drugs, oh my God, there's a problem here. Like, what are you trying to escape from? And it's the same thing when you're looking over that fence to the grass being greener. What are you trying to escape from? Don't be trying to live the life of others. Remove yourself from the situation you're in and evolve with the times. Create a life that's memorable now. Live a life of fulfillment now. You know, to get to a stage of your life where you don't need to escape. That's the purpose. And if you're in FOMO or wishing you did it differently, it means you're trying to escape from something now. You're not living in alignment. You're surrounded by the wrong people and you're preventing yourself from evolving. So start to make the change now and create a life that you're fulfilled in rather than sitting there in regret. So thank you so much for listening, and I really hope this resonates. If it does, please like and share, and please subscribe to my channel so I can reach as many people as possible. And if you would like help on your journey, please book me for a discovery call today, and I'd love nothing more than to help on your path.